Boys Club.
Is it called Boys Club because my apartment looks like a boy lives in it?
I wouldn't say a boy lives in it. I would say a boy is kidnapped somewhere in here.
Boys Club.
We're everything. We're true crime. We're World Star Hip Hop.
We're World Star Hip Hop. We're Netflix reviews.
Stories of the day.
Boys Club.
Listen.
Yeah, do it. We're on iTunes. We're on Spotify. I think. No, we're not. And on Google Play. Nobody gives a shit.
Boys Club.
Boys Club Podcast. Now with 90% more sound clips of black people.
Boys Club.
Touch me, and I'll sue.
Here at Intoxicated Reviews, we intellectually dissect the art of cinema, scene by scene. Here's some clips.
That's all he is. It's just a fucking big wooden doll full of cum, chasing kids around.
You look up guys who poop in a bag. I think that's where you'll find him. Because he is hurt.
It's probably just in your search history anyway, isn't it?
This movie fucking blows.
So don't forget to subscribe to Intoxicated Reviews on all places you find podcasts. Except Spotify. We're working on it.
Do not take product if you are hypersensitive.
Hello, friend, and hey, Internet. Welcome back to the Intoxicated Podcast. This is a drinking comedy variety talk show where I talk to friends, comedians, and various guests about life while having a couple drinks. Or many drinks, or no drinks. I'm your host, Sarah McClellan. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody, and Happy New Year. This is the first episode of 2020. I hope everyone had a great holiday and a great New Year's Eve. I actually had a really fun New Year's Eve. Didn't cry once, and that is a breakthrough for me. Spent a fuck ton of money, way too much, but had a lot of fun with some good friends downtown and magically didn't have to wait 2 hours for a cab. So I lucked out big time. I know like everyone's doing the whole, inspirational, look at what I've done this past decade and how great 2019 was, but I'm going to just keep looking ahead. I don't think I did anything overly groundbreaking other than start this podcast, to be quite honest with you. This podcast is definitely what I am most proud of. So if you are a returning listener, thank you so much for listening. If you are a brand new listener, thank you for checking it out. I hope you like it and I hope you stick around. Okay, you guys. So this week's episode is going to be a two-part episode. This was actually recorded quite a while ago before Christmas. So there's some Christmas talk at the beginning of this episode, but just, go through the paces with that because it was before Christmas. So we do talk a bit about the season and the holiday, but I'm bearing the lead here. This week's guest is third-time solo returning guest, Andrew Vaughan. You've heard him here before. He's done a lot of Intoxicated episodes, but he's one of my good friends, someone I can always rely on to come on the show and just shoot the shit about whatever. And we had a lot of fun with this one. This was almost 3 hours of recording, but don't worry, I've cut it up so it's a little more digestible for you. Part one is a lot of focus on comedy. So if you are a comedian at any level, you're going to really like this one. Andrew has been doing comedy for 10 years. So he knows his stuff. And I'm not going to let him say otherwise. He knows his stuff. He's learned some lessons along the way. He has a lot of insight into the industry. So this episode is very heavy in the good, the bad, and the ugly of comedy. And like I said, if you're a comedian, you're really going to freaking enjoy this. This was a great conversation. And then the second part of this episode is actually really, really funny. So we had this idea of kind of going over woman products with him, kind of teaching him about womanhood, / secretly, I just want to horrify him. So that will be part two. That one's a lot of fun. That one is a little more visual. So what I'm going to say is I'd recommend watching the YouTube version of that episode. You can still listen to the audio for sure, but there are more visual components with part two. So just a tip on that. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's great. I do video versions of episodes when I can. Sometimes I don't. For the last episode, I didn't. It was just too much work. I just didn't want to be completely honest with you. Cutting up the clips for the audio of the best of 2019 was enough work as it was. With the YouTube videos, they are normally available the weekend after the Friday that I upload the audio. That's just me not having my shit together, to be completely real with you. Going into 2020, I'm going to make a point to do all that editing ahead of time and have both versions ready to go on Fridays. You can only do so much when you're a depressed piece of shit like me. So yeah, we're gonna aim for the best in 2020, people. I'm gonna try my best. But please check out the YouTube channel and subscribe and ring the bell for notifications so you get notified when I upload a new video. But yeah, it was great having Andrew on. Again, he's one of my good friends. We have a lot of really good talks about life. We're the type of friends that can just be totally goofy or get super serious and deep. And I like that about our friendship. And I like that about this episode. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. And if you enjoy Andrew Vaughan, please follow him on Instagram at avcomedy2049. I will link below to that, and check out Boys Club Comedy Podcast. Like I've said before, you hear their ad every week on the show. They are like the cousin podcast to Intoxicated. I've been on twice. It's a lot of fun. And I think if you're someone who's into the comedy aspect of things, and if you just like people who shoot the shit and talk about trending topics and what's on Netflix and stuff like that, you will like Boys Club. So go subscribe to Boys Club Comedy Podcast. And of course, if you're digging Intoxicated, you can do a couple things. You can leave an Apple Podcasts rating or review. That always helps the show out. You can check out Patreon. That is patreon.com/intoxicated. But the very best thing you can do is share the podcast and tell a friend. So if you're listening right now, if you're a consistent listener and you hear my voice right this second, share that you're listening. That would be amazing. And tag Intoxicated Podcast. So we are on social media at Intoxicated Podcast, on Facebook and Instagram, on Twitter at @in_toxicated. And you can email any questions, comments, or feedback to intoxicatedpodcast@gmail.com. And one little thing here, one request that's not podcast related, but it is related to my Christmas break, where I experienced the series finale of probably what is now my favorite TV show of all time, Mr. Robot. This show, you guys, I'm not officially on their promotional street team, but I truly consider myself to be part of the Mr. Robot street team. I'm trying to spread the word about this amazing show. This show is like totally changed the fabric of who I am. And I know that sounds insanely dramatic, but it has been the most emotional experience that I've ever had watching a television series. It's so incredibly well done. If you are looking for a show to watch, it is now done. It is now over. You can binge the whole thing. It's 4 seasons. If you do have Amazon Prime, it is available on Amazon Prime. I highly recommend this show. I know this is a weird thing to say in my intro, but if you do follow my personal social media, you know I'm always talking about Mr. Robot, always raving about it, always posting about it, because I will never forget what this show has done for me. So really, truly, I can't recommend this show more. I know that I've already converted a couple of friends and they're really enjoying it, and nothing makes me happier than seeing Instagram DMs being like, I'm watching Mr. Robot. You were right. It's so amazing. There, I'll say it and I'll be done with it. Watch Mr. Robot. Holy fuck. It's such a good show. The series finale, I'm still thinking about it. I haven't stopped thinking about it, and it premiered on like the Sunday before Christmas. So I'm still processing how amazing that finale was. Watch Mr. Robot. Woof! So that's about it, you guys. Happy 2020, and enjoy this episode with Andrew Vaughan.
Right up close.
I mean, it sounds more, but you're not talking. You have a deep voice, but you're not talking overly loud.
I'm loud, but our levels are lower anyway, and I can tweak it all when it's done.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Guys, we're on the Intoxicated Podcast, by the way. Just getting right into it. With, I don't know how many episodes you've done. Andrew Vaughan is here.
I don't know, like if we count crossover episodes or anything like that, but
I guess third time solo guest.
probably. Yeah, I think
Andrew
third
Vaughan.
time solo guest. So, yeah.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, well, that's to say the other two were.
No,
no.
just joking. It's always great having you
Yeah,
on. Thanks
thank
for
you
coming
very
on,
much.
buddy.
Thanks for having me on. I had nothing better to
And me, I'm like, I just need episodes.
That just this sounded shitty towards you, but I didn't mean it to be shitty towards you. I just meant it to be an overall
No, you're
like a view of what's going on.
You're being truthful.
Yeah.
It's very true.
I was watching Out of Sight and waiting to come here, so
Out of Sight?
yeah, it's a fucking great movie.
What?
It's from the 90s. It's George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez, and George Clooney is like a bank robber and he's in jail and he escapes. And when he's escaping prison, Jennifer Lopez is a U.S. Marshal, and he ends up like getting her in the trunk of the car, and they kind of fall in love in like a few seconds that they're in the back of the car.
I think I've heard of
It's
this.
an amazing
or maybe,
movie. It's
maybe
an amazing
I've seen
movie.
it.
Everyone's like fucking Jennifer Lopez. But first
Yeah.
off, Jennifer Lopez has done some good movies. Geely sucked, yes, but she is a good actress.
Yeah.
And it's based off an Elmore Leonard book, which is I've never read any of his books, but I love all his movie adaptations and stuff. Stuff like Get Shorty. I would just watch Kill Shot, which is by him. The TV show Justified is based off of like he writes really good crime like novels, right?
Oh, okay.
The Rum Diary with Johnny Depp is another one of his. Like,
Oh.
and so he just has really good twists and turns in like and funny, most of the time funny dialogue, snappy dialogue, good characters. And so anyway, it's a great movie. A lot of people dismiss it because Jennifer Lopez is in it.
No,
but
she's great.
It's a great movie. Yeah.
Hustlers, so
Yeah, I
good.
want to see that actually.
So-
I heard it was really good. Like that's another thing. I'm not going to dismiss Hustlers just because fucking
Yeah, but
hey, it's Jennifer Lopez or it's like a stripper. Like I saw Magic Mike in theaters.
yeah, great,
But
so
you
fun.
know why I saw Magic Mike? Because the same guy who directed Out of Sight is one of my favorite directors. Directed Magic Mike, Steven Soderbergh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he's just he did the Ocean's 11 movies and all those things like that. Like he's just a great filmmaker.
Right. Yeah. People shouldn't dismiss things on like their first impressions.
Yeah. So I was just watching that.
And then see, I haven't been watching a lot
Yeah.
lately. I really want to. I think winter's coming though, so I think it's gonna happen. Because I hate winter. Makes me not want to leave the house.
Dude, we watched.
at all.
Me and Richard watched Aliens, the second one last night, which I hadn't seen since I was a kid. Like it's the sequel to Alien.
Yeah.
And I like that. And then we watched Gremlins.
Oh, fun!
Which halfway through we just ended up talking so much I don't even like the last half of the movie. I don't even think we really even paid attention to what was going on.
I love
in it.
those types of movie nights.
But it's like
though.
we've seen it 80 million times, right?
Yeah,
So
if you've
it's like,
seen it already.
But then we put on Predator, which I haven't seen since I was a kid, and that was kind of like a shut up and watch type of thing.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I love that you and Richard have like your
Movie
hangout
nights?
nights. I think it's the cutest thing ever.
Yeah, I get drunk and he just watches a movie.
But just that you plan it and you make a point to be like, yeah, these are our plans. We're hanging out.
Honestly, like I think it's kind of helped. Like, not that our friendship or roommate relationship was bad at all or anything, but it's like helped to get better.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I can imagine that it
'cause
would.
we take time to like actually spend time together.
As it's like when you're roommates, like there's that roommate dynamic.
Yeah.
But then like to actually go a step further, to be like, no, we're gonna be friends that also just hang out.
Yeah, like we were friends before we became roommates.
Yeah.
But like he spends a lot of time in his room, so it's nice for him to like come out and fucking hang in the living room, you know,
Man.
and watch some movies. So.
That's what makes me the most jealous about roommates.
Yeah.
I'm just like, just have someone to hang out with.
It's
more
not
easily.
it's sometimes it's not even about having someone to hang out with. It's just about having another like living thing
In your
in your like
environment.
when he's gone for like Christmas break or something like that. Like especially now where I don't have a cat. Like it's just like it's so quiet.
Oh, I know,
in
it's
there.
lonely.
So it's like it feels nice to have something
I
alive.
meant to bring this up to you.
Yeah.
Well, actually, two things about cats.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, so we're coming on Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas is happening soon. Do you do a lot of gift giving? Do you buy a lot of gifts for people or no?
With what?
Well, I
Would you
mean,
like to use to buy these gifts?
but is that a
So
standard thing for you?
You
or
know
not?
how wonderfully amazing my calendar has been booked full the last 2 months.
No, I shouldn't have asked.
Yeah.
But is that something that standardly you try to
If
do?
I have money, I'd spoil the shit out of every single person I knew.
Right.
Like if I had thousands of dollars, like I might even send Ken and Kuntz a fucking present if I had
Oh,
because I do like buying gifts for people and I do like doing things for people, but yeah, I don't have the money at all to do any of that.
What I
now.
thought about doing, because my family doesn't do gifts, but I do like the feeling of giving, putting
Yeah.
something together and giving
Yeah.
someone. Granted, I'm pretty broke too, but I was like, maybe what I'll do is like put together like a package for the SPCA because they always need like kitty litter.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Like stuff
that's
like
a great idea.
stuff like that, and like I'm like maybe I could ask around and like get people to bring like one cat item.
How about we all just do it? We all just
Yeah.
bring some pet stuff together. Like if you get like 10, 12 people to give like a $5-10 item.
Exactly. Then it's a package.
There could be some toys. There could be some treats.
They always need stuff.
Just food too. They probably
Cat
would rather have
food.
food than toys
Yeah.
and treats, but like
Yeah.
just something that why don't we do that? Why don't we get like a bunch of people that want to fucking because like I can chip in $10-15 to buy something for
Hell yeah.
cats and dogs. Yeah.
So I thought that would be fun.
Yeah.
The other thing I thought about was in your situation.
We need the donation name to be something shitty though that they have to read out.
Intoxicated Podcast.
No, it's just like this was donated by Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. Okay. Fair enough.
I think it'd be fun to physically go there and drop it off.
Oh, it would be.
And like,
then I wouldn't leave.
I don't know, like there's something about doing that, like, because I could just give money to, or like maybe like do a little fundraiser or something.
Yeah.
But like, there's something about physically going out, getting it, packaging it, putting it together, and like seeing it and like knowing like little kitty cat's gonna get to use this.
I also think like money. It's like I don't doubt that the SPCA uses the money properly.
Right.
But I think like.
You don't see like really
You don't
where it's going.
like money goes into a giant like if you donate money to them it goes into a giant pool and that money goes to pay for everything, which is important.
Right.
But if you think, oh yeah, but I want to make sure that the animals are getting food.
Yeah.
By physically buying the food.
Physically buying it.
I mean, you might have to check and see if they allow you to physically.
Yeah. They have a list of suggested items.
Oh, so they do. Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Of suggested items, especially in the winter where there's like they're probably taking in more cats.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Boys Club we'll each donate. I put you on the hook, Travis, but we'll each we'll do a donation from our podcast. You do a donation from your podcast. Maybe Intoxicated Reviews could do a donation
it's
from
like
their
a podcast
podcast.
donation.
Like maybe if you know anybody else, Kyle and Brandon do a podcast. We could ask them if they want to do a little like donation, and then we just all kind of drop it off. For
I
the
think
animals.
that'd be. It's just something I've been thinking about lately because I haven't done gifts for Christmas in so long.
Yeah.
And I often think that it takes away the magic.
Oh, okay.
Of Christmas in a weird way. It's I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to get more into Christmas this year. I feel like I used to be very hatey and like negative about it, but like I think I'm gonna get like a bigger tree this year, do more decorating.
I'm not even putting the tree up this year.
No.
No, it's. I mean, it's December 7th. What's the point at this point?
Do you think it's too late to put up a tree?
For me, it's way too late.
Fuck, I should have got on my shit earlier.
I'm gonna be gone next weekend, and then the weekend after that is basically Christmas.
Right.
So there's no.
Jesus.
You know what I
Christ,
mean?
It's
Like,
coming up so quick.
I know. That's why. Yeah, that's why I don't like.
I
Christmas.
actually think I'm literally
It's like-
doing it tomorrow.
Yeah, I
think
mean, I'm
tomorrow
not trying to
gonna do it.
discourage you from trying to be happy, but
Well, okay. Well, I had the thought too when I was out today, and again thinking about Christmas, like from this perspective of like the stores are crazy, and like look at all these people buying all this shit, like how it's just so like consumer, and I'm like, I'm still part of it though, because I'm here looking at like $60 Christmas trees and
Yeah.
like wanting to decorate and buy more decorations.
by the way,
buy
if you
more
ever want to
ornaments.
buy a fake Christmas tree, the best time to do it is January. 'Cause they're on
for the next year,
Yeah, they're super fucking cheap.
right?
Yeah.
So I should have gotten my tree in January of this year.
Or like the week before Christmas, they go down.
Oh, interesting. Well, I have like a 4-footer, or it's like 4.5. But you can't really put it on the ground because it's a little too short.
Yeah, I have one of those, but I bought one with like the lights already on it too, so I didn't have to put the lights on it because I hate putting the lights on Christmas trees.
Do those last long though?
Oh yeah,
That's always what I wonder with them.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just I'm not gonna put it up. There's no point, I'm not. I'm not gonna, it's just no point. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we got Andrew Vaughan's take on Christmas because
because
we're gonna film the.
There's
the
no point.
No point. There's no point. There's no point in anything.
Yeah.
We're gonna do the Christmas episode on the 15th, which is next
When is-
Sunday
Okay.
in the afternoon.
Okay.
So we're actually gonna make a little afternoon shindig.
Yeah, I should be available for that.
And like I'm just gonna.
Oh, I won't be available for that.
No, yeah, I was gonna
And
say.
Travis won't be either.
I
because
don't think
we'll be
you're-
on the road. Yeah.
So I'm getting it's gonna be Corey, Kirsten Finch,
Yeah.
Chris Halef, and possibly Adrian Gabriel. is
Oh,
gonna
that'd be
stop
fun.
by.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like two lovers, two haters, good little balance. And actually, I wouldn't even say I'm a hater. I would say I'm like in the middle
Oh, okay.
right now. Like I can be swayed either way.
I don't necessarily hate Christmas. It's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
It's not, there's nothing like, I never have enough money to do what I want to do. It comes to you like, I know people with families and stuff, they start planning like months in advance and do the Christmas, well, at least growing up, that's how, it was. People do their Christmas shopping so early and everything. But this is just like, it's just going to happen. It's just going to be another day, and then it'll be another day after that. And then,
Yep. No, you're right.
it
goes by so quick.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a wedding. Like,
Yeah.
it's like all this for like
Yeah.
a really brief moment in time.
Yeah. It just doesn't seem to, I don't know. I just got, when you're a single adult, there's just really, what's the point?
I know, because I often think about it, I'm like, it'd be fun to do like a family dinner and then come home with a significant other and like curl up and be cozy and watch. And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't have that.
Well, yeah.
So I'm going to come home and cuddle with Mindy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mean in a sappy necessarily way. It's just, there's nothing, like, you know what I mean? Like, time, like, I'll spend time with my family, and that's kind of what you do, and then that's it. And then you go home, and then it's done,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I just doesn't do shit for me. Everything's closed.
I know.
Yeah.
And the stores are just so crazy busy.
Yeah.
I hate going anywhere now to buy anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, I should just buy all my shit on Amazon. This is madness.
Yeah. Well, it's still like,
First world
at
problem.
least you can go through it, but then delivery and all that shit, and they're busy too this time of year.
Yeah. It's just busy everywhere. I don't like shopping when it's busy.
No.
It stresses me out.
I don't like stores when they're busy.
Yeah, it's very stressful. They're giving
I hate
away
when you have to go into a store because you need something right now, and everyone's there just Christmas shopping. You're like, but I fucking just need this thing.
this one thing.
This one fucking thing.
And
Get out of my way.
everyone's walking real slow.
Yeah.
Real slow.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, speed the fuck up.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
Now, granted, if someone out there wants to somehow put a few $1,000s in my bank account, it'll put me in the Christmas mood.
I think that's my main reason why I hate Christmas.
Yeah.
You feel like shit because you can't buy people gifts or do something nice that you want to do because of money.
Yeah.
And it comes back to fucking money.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Should donate services somehow. I've often thought about volunteering like around Christmas time.
Yeah. I often find I think about volunteering, and the thought of thinking about volunteering is just enough to keep me going.
Right? I know.
I can be like, no, I didn't commit, but I'm a pretty good person for thinking about it.
You're so right. Well, actually, that's so interesting that we brought this up. I was listening to a podcast today, Armchair Expert, but he had a psychologist on, and he was talking about personality types and personalities, and how there's givers and takers. And you're usually, and a lot of times people strike a balance and they jump back and forth between the two, but there's some people who are clearly givers and takers. In other words, like when you talk to somebody, how do you is it framed like, what can I do for you? Like, how can I help you? Like, is it framed like that? Or is it framed more like you're taking? And then Dax brought up the point of like giving as a self-serving device, meaning like, I like the feeling I get when I give, so that's why I give.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, there's that. I think, sometimes I think it'd probably be easier to be a taker.
Yeah.
I think
they say that the takers are better in business situations.
And I just think they're probably happier because they're ignorant towards, towards what they're doing, or otherwise they wouldn't be a taker or something like that. I don't know. It just seems like it would be.
It seems like it would be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't be so much concerned with everybody else all the time. Yeah, I actually probably agree with that.
Yeah.
But I also know that I'm like probably more of a giver than a taker.
Oh, yeah, no.
Because I'm always just like, how can I help? How can I make you happy? What can I do for you?
Yeah.
Like just constantly, all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's be takers this Christmas
It's
season.
still not going to happen, but.
Dude, what do you think you are?
Oh, do
you think you're both, kind of?
I'm probably just more of a giver than I am a taker.
Yeah.
It just depends. Like, I get the idea behind this philosophy, but I think it's weird whenever you break things down into just
Two categories, yeah.
It's like the old saying, there's no black or white, it's just all different shades of gray, right?
Oh, 100%.
So it's that saying seems contradictory towards you're either a giver or a taker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think you can be an extreme giver and an extreme taker, and then there's a sliding scale in between.
There's
but
a sliding scale
probably
in between.
lean more towards a giver than a taker.
Yeah.
Because I would rather be in personal discomfort than have to worry about the conflict of standing up for myself or taking what I need for myself.
Right.
So, yeah.
And then the other thing they talked about was agreeableness versus disagreeableness. And how it's like,
I'm very disagreeable.
Do you think?
In all sorts. No, I'm just trying to make.
But honestly,
I don't know what they're defining it as.
Well, I think they're defining it as like, if we were having a discussion, and we were talking, like even just earlier tonight before we were recording, we were talking about like pro-choice, pro-life, all that. I'm
pro-death, by the way, in case you're wondering what my stance was. I think we should just have like a suicide machine that is right there when the baby comes out of the vagina. It slides into the death machine. We hit a button. No more baby.
Oh my God. That's ridiculous. I think I said the words the other day. I'm like, God, I know so many people who want to kill themselves. Like, I literally just had the thought of like, every single person I talk to is like so miserable and always making suicide jokes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, fuck.
See, that's why I'm not a taker, because if I was, I would have taken my life a long time ago.
But the agreeableness thing is like, if you were in a conversation like that, the agreeable person would be like, oh, I see your point.
Yeah.
And then they would shut up. The disagreeable person, because I get what you mean. Like the disagreeable word has a negative connotation, but it's more so that you would go, yeah, but like this is how I think.
But it just depends on situations. Like you and I know each other well enough that we can have a conversation and disagree on something, and it's not that big of an issue.
It's not a fight. It's just it's a conversation.
But like I know a lot of people in my life that like I can't, like I just don't even bother trying to have an opinion about something around them. Because it's the like, what's the point?
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah.
Well, I think as you get older, you realize who you can do that with and who you can't.
Yeah.
And it's because Kyle Carpenter said on his episode, like that a best friend is the person you can most be yourself around.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, that's why alcohol is my best friend.
It lets you just be you.
Oh, alcohol. Yep. That's a great Bare Naked Lady song, by the way.
Oh, alcohol?
It's called Alcohol.
Oh, really? Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah. It's all about his. Yeah, which I think he actually didn't he go into recovery a few years ago.
Yeah, I thought it was cocaine that was his problem, though.
No,
or was it both
I'm pretty
cocaine?
Sure it was probably both. Yeah.
Probably a good cocktail
usually
of
do
the
one
two.
without the other. You know what I mean?
That's true. They go hand in hand. A
Yeah,
lot.
pretty much. Like, yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, but yeah, no, I think it's interesting. Like I think that I'm more disagreeable than agreeable.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think it's just context. I think it's who you're with. You know what I mean?
Who you're
with. Your comfort level to have conversations with people.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because there's definitely been times that
I
I've
know
been like,
some fucking people. It doesn't matter if it's their fucking someone they've known for 20 years or someone they've met for 20 seconds. That just everything's a fight and everything's an argument.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, we know.
Yeah, we know a lot of those people.
And literally, that's who I thought of last night when I heard that. I was like, oh, yeah, 100% disagreeable.
Yeah.
No question about it.
Yeah, I used to have a friend in high school, and he always do this, like, I'm just playing devil's advocate. He'd just say it over and over. Like if you were like, why you got to argue everything? He's like, I'm just playing devil's advocate. And it's like, no, you're just argumentative prick.
Right. But I would also, to play devil's advocate on the devil's advocate, I do think, and they talked about this on the psychologist talked about this, that there is a feeling you get when you're arguing or like you're involved in a debate.
Yeah.
Like a really good back and forth conversation about something.
Which is like I've said before, I hate that word. No one is having debates.
No.
Debates are
Yeah,
debates are you get this topic, you're on this side and you're on this side, and you got 3 minutes, and then you got a rebuttal, and then you got people are just arguing.
Did you ever do that in high school? Debating?
I mean, it existed. I think we did in elementary school to learn what it was, but it was like
I know. I think we did too, and I think it was like something stupid, like should dogs wear muzzles or something.
Oh,
like.
Yeah. Oh no! Actually, I remember in high school we did this debate where we had to be. It was a history class, and one team had to be the United States of America, and the other team had to be Cuba during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And all of the poor kids had to be Cuba, and all the rich kids got to be the United States of America. And boy, oh boy, did it play out like real life.
Oh my god!
Why should it was just the attitude. It was just so like, oh yeah, this is how rich people. This is just ingrained in people that have money.
Wow,
how they treat people who don't. Like, yeah.
Oof. Oh boy, that's some heavy shit.
Yeah. I don't give a shit. They're all like, I don't. I used to be bothered by things from high school. I could care less now. It's so far.
It's so far from
Yeah.
where we're at. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Granted, where we're at isn't great.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
One thing actually that I want to bring up with you that I don't think any guest on Intoxicated has really talked about yet, which is the comedy flu. You guys have talked about this on Boys Club.
Yeah.
If you're at all into comedy stuff, go listen to Boys Club. It's great.
Yeah.
But are you kind of
And if you want to be a guest on the podcast,
fill out their guest
listen
form.
to some fucking podcasts that's my biggest complaint about people that want to be on the podcast that have never listened to our podcast.
Oh.
Like, why do you want to be on it if you've never listened to it?
You
don't know what we talk about. We could bring a guest on and be like, all right, we're gonna have a debate. We're pro fucking kids. So what do you think? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we could say the most ludicrous, shitty things on our podcast, and sometimes we do. And you don't know because you don't listen to it.
Can you imagine a guest going on just not knowing at all?
We've had those guests before.
Yeah. True.
We had one of them, and I got a ton of complaints for having them on.
You tried something different.
It's the only time I've ever gotten
didn't
complaints
quite
about
work.
the Boys Club.
Really?
Yeah, it was that guest.
Well, I'm glad they didn't complain about me.
No, it's just I got like 3 messages like, why the fuck is this person on your podcast?
Yeah. I often think about that with mine, too, because I'm like, yeah,
but you're a guest format podcast. So, like, honestly, there's sometimes I don't listen to certain episodes because I'm just not interested.
It just doesn't appeal to you.
Like the Momgasm girls.
Yeah.
Nothing about that would interest me.
Yeah.
So I just will skip that episode.
Yeah.
But that's the beautiful thing about being upfront with a guest format. If someone can go, okay. But I mean, sometimes, I mean, there are some people like, you should listen to all of them because you might hear something that you like and you didn't think you like, right?
Yeah. Well, the person that would listen to all of them is a very specific type of person.
Yeah.
And
like
that's not most of my audience.
A better example, like I don't listen to it anymore, but back in the day when I would listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, I would only listen to episodes that had comedians on. And I would have no interest in scientists, this, that. I just want to hear other comics talk about comedy and doing comedy.
Right.
So I'd skip the ones that didn't have that on there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's... Yeah. I often think about that because I'm like, I think that the perfect kind of guest podcast is the kind that, like, let's use an example of, like, say, an advice podcast where every single episode you answer questions from listeners. Yeah. That's the point of the show.
But like
that way you can have a variety of guests on.
Our guests are like, you know, we've had Scott Belford on, Mike Lynch on, Chris Aleph. These are comedians. So we're going to talk a lot. Martin Edwards. We're going to talk a lot about comedy. You've been on it a couple times, but you're deeply ingrained in the comedy scene. You interview comics. We're friends, so it all kind of meshes together. But yeah, I think going forward, we would never have somebody
totally out of the realm
unless there was a reason. Like,
yeah,
if it was like, I heard you guys talking about this, and I have a problem with this, and it became a thing, or if it was like.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Or if it was just something. But if you just tell me you want to come on the podcast, we're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because then it's just like, hey, it's a lot of heavy lifting for us to be. Because I don't know going into it why you even want to be there, so I don't even know what to ask you.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're a comic, you don't have to tell me why you're there. You're there because you're a comic. I can
You can
ask
just
questions
you
about
can
that.
talk comedy.
Yeah, so
Talk about
Yeah,
shows.
yeah.
And yeah.
I guess if you want to be on anybody's podcast, why do you want to
your
be on something you
research.
don't listen to?
Yeah.
I just don't get it. Like,
Well, that's like kind of what I struggle with,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, are you coming on? Like, I said this when I was on Boys Club. Like, are you coming on because you literally just want your episode, you want your showcase?
Yeah.
Or is it because you actually appreciate the show and the long form, uncensored conversation?
and I have no problem if somebody was to say to me, the reason I want to come do your podcast is because I like the attention and I like an idea of an episode focusing around me.
Yeah.
I would go, okay, at least you're fucking honest.
Yeah, at least you're honest
You
about
know,
it.
like,
Yeah.
but I've had, I'm trying to think, maybe we've had maybe 3 or 4 people that have been pissy about not being asked to be on. It's like, we don't ask people to be on. Like,
Yeah, that's not
I
your
think
thing.
we
You're
asked
not a
Crystal
guest.
F. I think Crystal F was like the only person we asked.
Yeah.
And the reason we asked Crystal F, I think, is because Chris is so new. I don't think he's just going to ask to do the podcast. But we wanted to have him on.
But
so
he'd
that's why
be
we
someone
asked.
who would be happy to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't ask people, but I just want to know if you want to do it. And I'm not opposed to having anybody on, but another thing people need to realize, you got to be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
And I don't want to pull teeth to get things out of you.
100%.
Yeah.
And this is why like I do some different things every now and then that I kind of see it more of like, okay, this is a challenge. Like having the band on. This is a challenge. This is different, and it's, you know, it's a challenge for me, so I'll do it. But for the most part, I do like to vet people. Like, I don't really like the idea of just seeing a traveling comic come in and be like, okay, you're a traveling comic who's in town, so do you want to do my podcast? Like, I'd rather see the stand-up set.
And like, you probably face it more than we do because you are a guest-oriented podcast.
Oh, big time.
Where you have to get message from people that get like really pissy when they're not being asked, or you're like, I don't know, just not interested.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why people get pissed off about that. It's like, I'm not sitting at home pissed off because fucking CBC doesn't want me to come on their radio show tomorrow. Like,
yeah, no, totally. I've always considered myself, I used to consider myself the person that would just have everybody on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, things are a bit different
that
now.
gets tough though, because then you
different.
you bring, I've done that in the past. I've tried to have a podcast in the past where I interviewed people and it was a different person every week. And that's hard as shit, because some weeks if it's easy, and then some weeks you're just like, you realize the whole point of this is for you to talk.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
No, and there's definitely people that I like that I'm like, I just don't know if we could have a combo. It's nothing against you personally.
Yeah.
I just don't know if, because like I talked about with Corey about the idea of like comfort zones and how it's really nice. Like even this is really nice. Having a friend on who knows my life, who I talk to regularly. Like we can just shoot the shit. There's no format. Like it's just really easy.
Yeah.
And then I also love comedians who I'm like, I enjoy your comedy and I want to get to know you. How did this happen? How did you like, it kind of goes in those two ways.
Yeah.
But it's fucking hard getting people every week. It's difficult.
And we're not
Won't
opposed.
lie.
I mean, I think we had a few weeks where it seemed like we were having a guest almost every week for a couple weeks, like 3 or 4 weeks. So we're not opposed to having guests, but then again, at the same time, this is our podcast, and it's a chance for, it's a chance for me and Travis. Unfortunately, Dan doesn't live here anymore, but it's a chance for me and Travis to get to make sure we got every Tuesday we're together for a few hours.
And that's also a really cool part of it too. It's like your guaranteed hangout time.
Yeah, and we get to talk about shit and try to put out a hopefully a good podcast every week.
100%. And there's a lot of really cool podcasts. I mean, Intoxicated Boys Club is 2 of them.
Wow.
That tackle the comedy scenes
Yeah.
in the Maritimes. The other ones being Birchwood with Shane Ogden, great podcast, interviews comedians.
Yeah.
So if you're into the comedy stuff, there's some good stuff happening around here, and I love it.
And I haven't heard Kyle and Brandon's podcast yet because I forgot to add it to iTunes. It's my own excuse. But don't feel bad, Kyle or Brandon, because Mark Sploot has a new podcast, and I just added it the other day, and it's like 15 episodes in, so I'm behind on
Does he
everything.
really have a new podcast?
It's a weed podcast.
That's great for him, though.
Yeah. They do. They smoke a different strain of weed every podcast.
That's amazing.
And they talk about weed and they talk about other shit too. But like, yeah.
Good for him because he's a good podcaster.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be a shame for him to disappear entirely. Yeah, no, that's great. Well, you and I have talked at length about different things we want to do. It's hard to make those things happen, is what I've started to realize.
Yeah.
Because I had that idea about the open mic episode. I just was totally just like, I need more help with this. I can't do this myself.
But
this is tough.
I mean, it's a good idea. And you recorded some things and some things worked and some things didn't. And it wasn't. But now, like, I think you made a point online or something, or in the description of your last podcast to be like, you'll hear a clip of the upcoming.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it will happen eventually.
No, you just have more. The thing was, you put such a time crunch on yourself to have it done within a week. And that is more of an undertaking than what you usually do for a podcast. And sometimes you try those things and time crunch and whatnot doesn't work out. And you can't really get mad at yourself for that. I mean, you can if you're like, ugh, I can think of a dozen times when I could have been working on this and I did something else. But we all do that. You know. So it's
yeah. And it's also too, I think I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I think I just need to ask for help more.
Yeah.
Like ask for collaborators. And it's something I might actually do going forward. Be like, here's this project I want to do.
Yeah.
If you want to help me with it, like come be a part of the team. Like you're not the host, but come be a part of it.
Yeah.
Help me with it. Help me like film it.
Yeah.
Like be the person holding the camera or like, you know, stuff like that is something that I'm slowly getting to the point where I'm like, there's so much I want to do that I will need help. I will need a team.
Yeah.
And like, you know, we've had conversations about things we want to do with comedy, which is exciting. Some things to spruce up what's going on here in Halifax.
Yeah.
Not that what's going on here in Halifax is shitty.
No.
But some stuff to bring some juice into it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, yeah, well, I mean, you were asking, I guess this is a roundabout way to get back to the topic is, yeah, I just, you know, we all have different things we want to do and shit like that, and sometimes it doesn't work out, and I don't know, I used to get really bothered that I would have a lot of ideas and never kind of follow through with them, but I feel like, sometimes I feel like for every 10 ideas you don't follow through with, you forget about the 10 that you did. You know?
That's a great point as well. Yeah.
So
you get too bogged down with what you didn't do.
Yeah, you get too hard on yourself for not finishing a thing, which is shitty. You know,
right.
It can feel shitty, especially if you really like that idea and you like that thing. But
yeah. But it's
just
also
me
too
awkwardly
about,
fishing ice
make your
out
drink.
for my.
But it's also like learning when to slow down your ideas, because like I got some big ideas, big things that I want to do.
Yeah.
That there's no way I can do it right now.
Yeah.
Like there's just no, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And like the open mic episode idea was me toning down a bigger idea I had, kind of thing.
A real alcoholic brings his own shot glass. Actually, a real alcoholic doesn't use a shot glass.
That's a lot of vodka. Ooh.
I did a double. I always do doubles.
I mean, yeah, why waste your time, right?
Right.
Singles.
May as well fucking get it underway.
Yeah. But it is,
which one? Okay.
yeah, managing like your ideas and like when to step back and when not to, you know, like, I don't know. It's just, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's,
it can wear you down. It can feel shitty and frustrating when you want to do something and you don't end up getting it done, or you get like or you get it done but the end project isn't exactly what you wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Like you're still happy with it but it's not.
Yeah.
It just wasn't what you originally had in your mind, type of thing.
100%. Yeah, it's tough. But back to the comedy stuff. How are things going with you?
Oh, fucking fantastic. Can't get booked anywhere. People don't pay me properly.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not a good time. It's just not been a fun. It just hasn't been fun for a while.
Right.
You know, and that's shitty. It's supposed to be fun. Like I said on our podcast a couple weeks ago, there's wrestling league that me and Travis like, and there's this thing they were doing, and they were like, the wrestlers in their YouTube video were like, this is supposed to be fun.
Right. Why isn't it fun? Yeah.
Yeah, like, and I'm like, yeah, this is at its core, even though it's a job and it takes a lot of hard work, at its core is supposed to be fun, and it's just not fun anymore.
And it's a job that I think the outside perspective
Yeah.
is like, oh, they just get to like be funny and tell jokes. Like it's almost like one of those professions that is glamorized in a way where it's like, oh yeah, like they don't, that's not much work. Like they're fine. And it's just like, oh no, like it's way harder than anyone would ever think it is from the outside.
Oh yeah. It's not, you know, I mean, I kind of get this way every year around this time before I go to Ontario for a little bit. Like, so I feel like, I think last year I remember saying to Daniel, I was like, I got to get out of this fucking city because I hate everybody right now. And I just got to get away from it. And when I get away from everybody, then I miss them.
It's kind of like absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's just up and down, and it's not feeling creative. It's not putting the work in. It's not doing, like, I'm not really my output level is so low right now.
Right.
Just like creatively on all levels. It's so
is it
low.
like a creative block, or is it like
just, I don't
combination
know if it's
of
laziness or just general, like, other things going on in life kind of dragging you down and shit like that. Like,
yeah.
So it's stuff like that. That's just, it just becomes so much. It's too much.
Well, and it can be hard too when it's like, okay, a bad experience, shit, that sucks, and then another bad experience, well, that sucks more, and then it just piles up into all these bad experiences, and then you're just like, well, how am I motivated to do anything right now?
And it's like, you know, I go to Mike's now, and I don't mean this in any it's just like, you know, 9 times out of 10, I don't really feel like I have any friends anymore at Mike's anymore. You know, like Travis comes out once in a blue moon, but we're not always on the same shows.
Right.
Martin is out, we're not always on the same shows. Daniel's working all the time.
Yeah.
You know, Dan doesn't live here anymore. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like,
your core group is kind of all over the place.
I only see Catherine at Beerley's.
Right.
I only see Ian at Sniggly Wiggly's, and I go to these open mics, and it's, you know, I'm the odd guy out, and you know, like everyone else has their own little clique and their own little, and I get it because that's what new comics do, because you bond together because you're in the same place, right?
Same kind of area. You're coming up around the same time. And maybe clicks form over styles of comedy too, sort of too.
Yeah.
That's
and the shitty part of open mic comedy is so much better when you have friends with you.
right.
And when you don't have the friends there, it's just draining.
You can kind of play off each other's energy a bit.
Yeah, and you can make fun of somebody on stage with somebody else. You know, like, that sounds like a shitty thing to say, but what I mean is, like, we all do it. We all like I know there's comics in the scene that don't like me and don't like my comedy, and they're vice versa.
Right.
Like, so when you're with your friends, you're just, it's better to be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? As opposed to sitting there by yourself going, what the fuck is this guy doing?
I saw a meme a comic posted about going to comic parties, and it was just like someone eating popcorn. They're like, me sitting back watching everybody mingle who I know all hate each other. And then she just wrote every single comic party.
And don't get me wrong, it's not, I don't know if I hate like really truly hate anybody that's in the comedy scene that I have to see on a regular basis. But it's just, they all have their people. They all, like, you know what I mean? They all have their friends and their cliques, and I get it.
And
know?
it's interesting.
I feel like I worked a long, like, I'm almost 10 years into comedy, and I feel like I worked a long time to be at the top of our scene, and now it's just lonely on top. And it's not that I'm the only one on top. There's other people that are on top too.
Right.
But
you know what's interesting?
Like,
people probably see you as a clique.
Well, for sure, but we're not out in full force
Together.
like these
Per
guys
se.
are. You know?
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Like, there's this fucking Eminem song that I love. It's called "Walk on Water," and it's all about his career, kind of like, because a lot of people have kind of written him off as like he's not good anymore. He hasn't done anything good in a few years and all this shit, right? And there's a line where it's like, to these kids, you no longer exist. And that's how I feel right now. Yeah, to the kids of this scene, I no longer exist. You know, like, they're all doing their own thing, and they're all supporting each other, and you know, it's just different. It's just different.
It's a different. Yeah. But also too. Do you think it is like? I feel like part of this is that, but then part of this is also you going through the comedy flow. A little bit.
Oh yeah. I mean, a lot of it's in my own head.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. We overthink everything. We overthink way too fucking much.
Yeah.
About everything.
And the thing is, like, I should be at a point in my career. Well, I mean, it's Canadian comedy, but I should be at a point in my career where that shouldn't be bothering me because I'm not here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here for a couple weeks and then I'm over here, or I might be here for 3 weeks, but then I'm going out here, or I'm going down, and I'm not doing that right now. So this is all I have. And then the stuff that I am getting here, I'm getting fucked for.
Yeah.
I'm getting fucked over. I'm getting not,
Yeah.
And then when I have a bad set and I know that I have a bad set, I have to listen to people that aren't my friends say things about my bad set that is just like, this is not.
This is
like, I'm not trying to
is.
call Scott McLean out, but his whole take on my bad set a couple weeks ago at Yucks when I was like trying to record my set.
Oh yeah.
It's just like I that's what makes me really upset, because I'm like, he's going, you were up there reading off I was not reading off a script. I know why it didn't work.
Right. And this is what comedy is. You get up there and you try things. Like, why is everyone, you all have different styles, but you're all doing the same kind of thing. So why is this so negative? Why can't it be more encouraging?
Because we're just all a bunch of cunts. I mean, we're all, I don't think you get into comedy because you're a positive person.
No, but I mean, I think maybe just let's stop. I don't know, attacking other. I don't know.
It's not attacking. I mean, I just don't. You go to, and don't get me wrong. I talk to these young comics. We have great conversations in the green rooms or whatever when we do talk. It's just there's no connection there.
It's not the same.
Like, they're never gonna want to hang out with me, and I'm never gonna want to hang out with them. You know what I mean? Like, some of them, and I've tried with some of them, and some of them, I mean, it might totally be in my head. They're like, it doesn't happen or something. I don't know. It's not. It's just different. It's different than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
And that's a harder thing to reconcile.
You're in. It's peaks and valleys, and you're in a valley.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
But I think that what's important to note is that it is just a valley, and
well, hopefully
it will go up, and maybe going out to Ontario is
hopefully
something that will re-energize you. Because like it's tough. I can't imagine doing it, especially as long as you've been doing it, and then feeling the way you're feeling. Like it's not easy.
There's also other factors like creatively. I think that I've never been better, but the output creatively is just like a drip. It's not like a running faucet. It's a drip. You know.
And do you have any idea what it would take to get that?
Yeah, hard work, and I'm not putting in the hard work.
Right.
That's all it is. The solution to everything is hard work.
Work harder.
You put your nose to the grind and you work harder.
Yeah, and I mean that could be.
And it doesn't matter if you're a comic. It doesn't. It's everything in life. I honestly believe everything in life. The key is hard work.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter comedy or whatever. If you fucking lay bricks for a living, the key to being a happy bricklayer is being a hard fucking worker and loving what you do.
Yeah. Those two ingredients.
Yeah.
So do you have anything coming up you want to talk about?
Like gigs? No, obviously, but no.
Well, Ontario people.
Yeah, I'm not even looking forward to that.
No,
everything just stinks, so it's not even.
I think you should look forward to it. You always enjoy going.
Yeah, I
there.
do, but it's just everything is so shitty lately that it's like there's just no.
What do you think it will take to be in a better mindset?
$1 million. No.
Other than money.
3,000. No.
Well, actually, here's a good question for you. What advice would you? Okay, so a comic.
Wait. No. Anyways, sorry.
What sex toy should I order? No. If there is comics out there who are gradually getting into the place where they're doing paid work, what advice would you give them to ensure that they don't get fucked over?
Well, you got to listen to. I mean, you'll always know who's gonna fuck you over. Like, you'll always
hear things.
Yeah, and there's a few people in the city that don't pay comics or fuck them over, and you know, the ones they do fuck over, like I made an exceptional point of being very vocal about the people that fuck other people over.
Yeah.
Because I want other comics to know not to work for them so they don't get fucked over.
So you kind of
gotta like listen to the other comics and talk to them and stuff. I mean, you're gonna get fucked at some point.
Yeah.
It happens to everybody. It's worse when it happens from another comic. It's you know.
That's real shitty.
Yeah. So you gotta like keep your head up. But I mean, getting fucked out of money is not necessarily it doesn't happen that often.
Okay, fair.
It's just when it does, it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does.
Yeah.
But what would you say about like naming what you want and sticking to it and making sure you get it? Like,
well, I mean, especially if you're new, if you're just at the point of getting paid, you have to understand, like, you have to have a price that's fair to you, but a price that's not asking too much for what your level's at. I mean, most positions in comedy, you start out professionally as what they would call middle, which is 20 minutes in the middle of the show, or someplace called the feature act, which is 20 minutes in the middle of the show. Your average pay to start off with that should be about $75. Is your average start out.
Right.
In Canada. I mean, it should be.
For a feature?
It should be more, but I'm saying it's average in Canada. So you get about $75. The most you're probably going to make as a feature middle is 100. Now at a club is about 100. But there's so many factors you got to put into it, right? Like how many tickets can the show sell?
Right.
If the show can sell 500 tickets, no, you should be getting more than $100 for that 20 minutes.
Right.
If the show, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many other factors into it you have to understand. So if you're new into this and you're getting to the point where you're starting getting paid and you're wondering if you're getting paid the right amount, you have to find out, you know, how much do the tickets cost? How many people are here? You know, all that sort of shit. And then you start to look like, well, how much? And talk to the other comics. Comics will always,
within reason,
within reason, will tell you what they're getting paid.
Interesting.
Because there are some people that don't like to say that, and I think that's such bullshit.
Well, yeah, I think you all should be talking to each other so you can all figure it out together. It's like
I worked with a guy once who,
you know,
as soon as he paid me, said, "Just do me a favor, don't talk to the other comics about what you got paid."
Oh, that's about.
And the first thing we did was talk to each other about when we got paid.
That's a big red flag.
Yeah. Because he was making more money than he should have been on the show.
Right.
The way any show should go, in my opinion, is. Yeah, I think I hate door deals. They're the worst. I think there should be a guarantee because it puts onus on the people having the show to sell tickets.
Yeah. Because
they know whether 5 people show up or 50 people show up, they have to give you X amount of dollars at the end of the night.
When you say door deal, you mean a percentage of the door
sales? I refuse to do door deals. I won't do them.
Yeah.
And I know that limits my work, but I just won't do them.
That's fair, though. It's unpredictable.
Because I like to know that everybody on the show knows what they're getting when they get into it.
Right.
So the way it usually works is that whoever puts the show takes about 10 to 15% for putting it together and promoting it and creating posters and shit like that. And then from there, what's left, 50% goes to the headliner, 30% goes to the MC, and 20% goes to the host. 30% goes to the MC, 20% goes to the middle.
Right.
Yeah, so
that's a good formula.
It's the best way to do it because then everything's up front. Every time I book a show, everyone knows exactly how much I'm getting paid to do that show.
Right.
Because I'm not going to fuck anybody over.
Yeah.
It's just better to be upfront about that stuff and say, this is what you're getting, this is what you're going to get, and that's how it works.
And that's what it is. Yeah. Good points. Good fucking points.
If you're doing a fundraiser show for somebody in town here, he charges anywhere between $1,000 and $1,500 for that show. And if you go, well, he paid the headliner $100 and he's offering me $50, so he's going to keep $850. That's not fair.
Yeah.
You know, like, so
Stuff
you got to
like
know
that.
those things, and you can talk to other comics. Like, I'm more than happy to tell other comics what I get paid for a gig. Like, it's not a bragging thing. It's just like I just don't think there should be secrecy. I mean, it's the only way you know is by asking questions.
Yeah.
And there are some comics you work with, you'll ask them stuff, and they don't want to tell you anything because they feel like you're going to try to take their spot or like use
They hold it really close,
but it's
close to the chest.
Yeah, I mean, if you're good enough, nobody can take your spot.
Good point. That's a really good point. I mean, I mean, everyone would agree that the business side of comedy is the
worst.
Is the worst side. It's the getting up there and doing it is the fun part. The writing is probably also fun to some extent.
Yeah.
But also a little more work.
Yeah.
A little more.
It's fun. Yeah.
You know, but the performing part is the funnest.
Yeah, for sure.
Is the funnest part.
And I just don't want to see anybody get fucked out of money or screwed over or anything like that. It's, you know.
Yeah, that's... And how would they know if they're getting fucked if they didn't know? So this is why you got to talk about it.
Yeah. I think you just ask your kind of elder comics in your scene. Like, because they'll know. If somebody's asking you to do a gig, they'll know who that person is.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
They'll know the ins and outs.
Yeah.
And then you can make the judgment call.
Yeah, exactly. And
but as long as you know.
Yeah. And that's the thing I don't understand about screwing anybody over is like, we're all going to talk, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think is going to happen. You're going to screw me over and then be quiet about it? Like,
yeah.
You fucking crazy? Like,
yeah, no, people talk. It gets around.
I have told about a dozen people
Yep.
about the guy who fucked me last week. I brought his name up on my podcast.
I was just going to say, you talked about it on Boys Club. So, yeah, it's out there in the public. But listen, that's
the price you pay. That's your receipt. You want to fuck a comic over, that's your receipt. Your reputation getting ruined is your receipt.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. I can't smash you in the face.
How you act in
that
that business space, we'll come back to you. And we'll get out there and people will know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, luckily it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, that's true.
But when it does, it sucks.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people, like you've said, like out in New Brunswick, like they treat you really well out there. They pay you regardless of other factors.
Yeah, fucking Shane and Julie paid me for a show that they canceled.
Right.
And they canceled it 3 weeks in advance and they still paid me for it.
Wow. Yeah. Because they appreciate it.
They didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
There's nothing in any sort of rules that they had to do that.
Right. But they appreciate comedians.
And they appreciate our hard work and they like the working relationship that they have with us and they want to continue it going. And they don't want their reputation hurt either. You know what I mean? Like they don't like having to cancel a show.
Well, when you're booked on a show, like you have that date booked, so you turn down other work for that night.
And that is the principle. It could be when you're fucked out of money, it could be $50, it could be $5. The principle is I said to you that night I will not accept any other offers for work.
Yeah.
Because of what you told me you're going to pay me.
And so
when you don't pay me that, you fucked me hard.
Right.
Whether it's a difference of $50 or $5, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It's just you don't treat people like that. You don't ask someone to do 40 minutes and then not give them a dime.
Yeah.
This happened to me. Yeah.
Well, hopefully people will avoid this person.
Oh, yeah.
That's
either
the
they
hope.
do or they don't. It's I can only tell people my experience and hope that they fucking make the right decision, but it's up to them.
Yeah.
There's several people, the other asshole who fucks people for money, here in the city. Like there's several people that still work for him. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we all make our own decisions.
My big thing is get what you think you're worth. What you truly think you're worth. Don't settle for it now. I mean, don't fucking walk in and be like, I think I'm worth $1,200. You're not. Like
within reason.
Within reason.
Know your worth.
As long as I'm talking to the level-headed comic right now. I'm not talking to the guy who does, open mics all the time and sucks and can't even understand that he sucks. I'm talking to the level-headed,
self-aware.
Yeah, self-aware comic. Get what you're worth, and if you're not getting what you're worth, walk away.
Yeah, stick to that principle.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard thing to come to terms with, though. Knowing your worth, and knowing your worth in a financial
and knowing your worth when you're ready to know your worth. There's a lot of people that I think get paid work, especially in the Maritimes here, that maybe it's not the time for them to start getting paid work, but they get it.
Right.
And that can kind of throw a skew on what you think your value is.
It inflates things a bit.
Yeah. I mean, we're lucky here that because of, the limited... And I guess it just doesn't... It's different. Like, there are some guys that, when they start comedy in this city, it's like you can tell right away that they're funny, that they're good, and that this... And then some people who are doing it 3 or 4 years is like... Well, like, oh, why do you take a shine to them? And it's like, I've been doing it longer than them. It's like, because You're treading water and they're swimming.
Yeah, length of time doesn't always equal talent.
I mean, length of time is important in comedy, but like you said, it's not the be all end all.
it's not everything.
Yeah. So you got to be humble and you can't be delusional and all this. I just feel like I'm fucking saying the same shit over and over again that I always.
Yeah, but I think it's good for people to know, and keep in mind if they want to be serious about comedy. Now, if you don't want to be serious about comedy,
I mean, yeah,
do you?
I don't know why people do it as just like a hobby once in a while type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why people do it and do the exact same thing
and not change.
And over. There should be a concrete slab in Yuck Yucks. So when that happens, I can just walk over and smash my fucking head against it throughout the entire set. Because we're doing just as much good.
I didn't know where you're going with the concrete slab.
We're doing just as much good as repeating the same shit as I would be slapping my fucking head against a concrete slab.
Yeah.
I told you this the other day. There is a point when stage time for the sake of stage time becomes a waste of time.
Yes.
When you're new, you need to grab as much stage time as possible and you need to repeat shit as much as possible because you have to learn how to be on stage.
That's what it is.
But after a couple years, man, and it's still the same thing every time, you really need to ask yourself why you're doing this, because it's a long, hard road.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know the majority of my creative output happened in those early years. Now, that doesn't mean there was quality. It just means it was quantity over quality.
Right.
And if you don't have quantity or quality in those first few years, you really need to ask yourself what the fuck you're doing.
Why, and if it's worth it.
Yeah, it might not be for you.
Well, and I like what you said too about stage time when you're starting out, because the focus shouldn't be about writing a shit ton of new stuff or putting the pressure on yourself to
have new shit,
like fill books, or I had 2 really good sets, so now I have to write more new things. Pick what works and get better at that. Yeah. Stay consistent with that. And I don't know, when you really suss out when it's time to write new things.
I just think you never shut your brain off to the idea of new things.
Yeah, maybe you write new things and not take it to stage yet.
Or bring them to stage. It's just, when I started comedy, I thought that I had to have a brand new 7 minutes every time I got on stage. And then I was told by Peter White, that's not how it works.
That's not it.
Which is great. That's awesome that Peter told me that. And I learned that lesson. But that doesn't mean that the next time I went on stage, I didn't have some new shit.
Right.
In that set.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that if you don't have new shit, you just do the same shit for because you really have to be comfortable in there, and you have to learn, and you have to find your style. And I mean, that takes a long time, and you're not going to find it in a year. I'm not really even sure if I know what my style is yet, and I've been doing it for 10 years. Yeah. It takes a long time, but I don't know, man. I would love to know. I would love, without there being a fight, to ask some of these people that I see doing the same thing, why? What are you getting out of this? What is the point?
Yeah.
Is the point so your face is just out there? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
Is
a
it
good
because you
point.
think it's really good and you just don't want to bother writing new stuff?
Is it because you just don't have anything that came to mind?
Right.
Is it? I just want to know, because maybe I'm judgy and I just don't know. You know what I mean? I just don't know why they don't have new shit. I don't know why it's not. I don't think so.
I think that's totally fair.
Yeah.
Seeing the same stuff all the time gets repetitive and not fun anymore.
Oh, it's just and I get it. You're not playing. I can hear in my head, the comedy shows are not for the comics. It's for the audience, and I totally get that.
Right, but what if the audience wants to continue to go to open mic comedy and only sees the same open mic comedy? So this is the problem.
Toronto,
where
you could bury yourself amongst a million open mics by doing the same shit over and over and over and over again. This is Halifax, and our open mics are either great or they're miserable.
Yeah.
There's no in between. There's no
No.
mediocre, like, oh, this has been a mediocre open mic. We get about 10 to 12 people and it's okay.
Right.
It's either a really good show or it's a really shit show.
Yeah.
And you bringing the exact same shit all the time contributes it to being a shit show.
Yep. And it contributes to the scene not growing.
Exactly.
And the scene not being enriched.
Exactly. And honestly, I don't give a fuck if you tell them 10 jokes and 9 of them are old and 1 are new. I don't give a fuck.
Put something.
But
Sprinkle
I need to
something
see
in.
that you're doing something
Some sort of
to make
evolution.
it, to work on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky. There's tons of open mic nights here. And
Too many, in my opinion.
I personally think that there should be some more little fun, kind of more one-off shows for people to do not just their material.
Like Rich and I were talking
don't
last
know.
night about, like, we did the movie night thing at Gus's and we're going to do another one. Not in December just because things are too hectic. We're going to
Right.
wait till January. But I was thinking, like, even if you didn't do a movie night, what about the idea, like, because, like, okay, years ago, and you can cut this off anytime,
Yeah.
by the way, but years ago I did a show in a comic book store in New Brunswick.
Yeah.
And because I was in a comic book store, I was able to do a rant about a Transformers movie that I had seen and the plot lines that made no sense.
Right.
And it was hilarious. But I'm not going to do that on stage every night.
No.
Because 5 people in the audience are going to give a shit that I give a shit about how shitty this Transformers was, right?
Right.
But what if we had a night of rants?
A rant night.
A rant night could
Yeah.
be a theme. And
Yeah.
you pick a movie that you hate or a fucking
I love that.
a song you hate or a band you hate. And your
Yeah.
whole set is about why this fucking movie stinks, why this band stinks.
Yeah.
Like, but you're being funny with it.
You're being funny with it's kind of like
Yes, you write a set you'll
Tinder
never get
Tales
to
for
use
Rants.
you write a set you'll never get to use again, or maybe you will. Maybe you'll find things within it that are universal that you can fucking use. But it's the exercise of writing.
Yes.
For people that are doing the same thing week after week and show after show, this is a chance to go, now you're going to do something different. Now we're forcing you to do something different.
Something different. And maybe it's a regular show that
Mm-hmm.
you just do a new rant each time you do it. And it's a little bit of something to do that's different. And then not only that, it's kind of buzzworthy because
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of cool to see. People are going to see something other than your set and go, oh, I actually really like this person.
Yeah.
Like it's just little things like that.
Well,
can
that's the whole
happen.
concept behind the movie night thing, is to have people come and watch and be like, that was really funny how they made fun of that movie. Maybe I'll come see them do comedy.
Exactly.
That's the whole point.
And hopefully these things will like filter people over in various ways.
And there's no pressure doing the movie night thing.
No, not at all. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's things that could be done that could make this Halifax comedy scene better and more enriched. And I think it's little things like this coming up with these ideas that will slowly get us there.
Yeah, and I think we just need to be like, I don't know. I don't know what we really 100% need in this. I don't even know if the scene is bad or in trouble or anything, and it's just my perspective on things. There are a lot of hungry young people in the scene, and I think that's great.
Yes.
There are some comics that have started in the last few years that I love.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I think, and we're not friends. We don't hang out.
Right.
We don't have a relationship. I mean, I want to mention some names, but I feel like when you mention names, you always forget a few, and then people go, "Why didn't I get the thing?" Like,
Yeah.
but like, I love Chris Aleph.
Yeah.
I love Emma Mater. I think she's fucking hilarious.
So great. Just did a headline set at Oasis.
Yeah, well,
Did great.
she closed it out.
Fair.
I get a little bothered by people saying they headline an open mic. Like,
Yeah.
on
that's
a
fair.
poster, I have no problem saying headline by, because you're trying to draw an audience in, but
Right.
comics should look, it's like, to me, it's like saying you didn't, it's like a wrestler caring about if they won the title. It was
Right.
given to you. There's
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Okay, fair.
headlining,
She closed it out.
headlining's 45 minutes. 15 to 20 is not headlining.
Fair.
That's why I have a problem with it.
And actually, now that I think about it, I think Oasis doesn't even call it headliner.
We call it headlining when people do Gus's, but that's for the audience, not for the comic.
Not for them.
And I have been happy to see people close out their first Gus's night.
Right.
I think that's a huge accomplishment in your comedy career to be asked to close out an amateur night, because that means you've gone from brand new to being very reliable.
Right.
I just don't like that they call it headline.
Actually, Chris said the other day, used the term closed out. I closed out Beerley's. He didn't say headline. Yeah,
exactly.
I was the last person to, close it out.
A headliner is somebody that can consistently do 40 to 45 minutes.
It's the main
paid
act.
Professionally.
Yeah, it's the main act with a couple. It's like the Yuck situation. I mean, really, if you can just think about it like Yucks.
Yeah.
The headliner at Yucks. 45 minutes. Oof,
we had, oh my
time.
God. Yeah, we had there was a guy fucking, I think he's done Gus's once before, and I met him once before, but he did Yuck's Amateur Night, and man, this is the thing that keeps me going in comedy.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just my brain is like, thinks that people think I'm this old, crotchety, fucking angry comic who's just like, you got to do it this way or you don't do it at all, right? Like, but this Lewis Cloverdale guy. His delivery is so good. He's so animated on stage. But his closer, I loved. He put the mic back in the mic stand, held the mic stand, and was like, I want to leave you guys with this, but I can't. It belongs to the club. I just can't give it away. And I was like, I've never heard that before. I like that.
I like because it's played into like the stereotypical
what comics say
cliches,
before they end their set.
which is also something that you've talked about before about doing open mic bingo.
Yeah, and I like that he's so conscious enough to be like, this is something people say a lot. I don't want to do that, but I'll do a play on it. Like,
and he's like doing it almost like he's getting ready to tell like an intense thing, and then he's like, "Oh, that's interesting." Stuff
like that. I'll say a amateur night the other night. Another thing that impressed me is Patrick Kidson is a newer comic in the scene, and Kirsten Finch was hosting and didn't know his name, and he was the first comic up, and she went, "I don't know this comic's name, so it's," and brought him up on stage. And he rolled so well with it that he did several callbacks to it throughout his set.
Oh, nice.
That, like, I mean, the jokes aren't there because they're, like, yet in his set because he's so new. Like, I mean, it feels like I'm insulting his act, but I'm not trying to be. It's just he's what a new comic should sound like, right? But he would say something like, my friend stutters, which is really hard when your name's like, it was just like,
that's smart.
To have that.
That's smart.
To not only do it once, but do it several times to do it successfully.
Yeah.
Like that's
a skill.
That's to me going like, that guy's got a little something more up here than I thought.
Something,
Like,
something there that's natural.
Yeah, even if he does look like a fucking baseball player that never made it to the major leagues. I'm never trying to find something else that works.
Really?
He does. Every time I see him, I'm like, you look like you're a pitcher that never made it.
Like, oh my god.
No, but like,
what's the name again?
Patrick Kidson. You've seen him a couple times. Tall, blonde guy, always wearing a baseball cap.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he wears the Oakland, not the Oakland, who's the A's in the baseball? Anyway, it fucking doesn't matter. The Oakland really Athletics? Smart. Is that a fucking, anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, there's stuff like that it still gets me excited about comedy, and it's fun to see.
It's fun to see, and then you see them grow.
It's like I said on the Boys Club this week, Tinder Tales. I thought Al Marie had some really good jokes that I hadn't heard before.
Right. Yeah. I actually saw her for the first time recently.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I want to watch this one.
There's some of her stuff, if I'm being honest, in the past, I'm not a big fan of. I think it's a little cliche and a little blah, blah, blah. But when I saw her in Tinder Tales, I was like, oh shit, she's been working. But not on mics because I haven't seen her.
But writing stuff.
But writing, and it's working. I think she was more, I think the Tinder Tales kind of, it's like getting rid of the facade of comedy. Like, people can be a little more honest.
Right. And I think like themed shows like that will do that. But that's good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's like a fun thing to do. And we need more shows like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about perception because it's something I've been thinking of a lot lately about how sometimes we let other people's perception of us be who we are.
Yeah.
And like, because you've said a couple times on here, oh, people think I'm this cranky.
I mean, this is just how I think people think. I don't know if this is actually people think. But.
Right.
But I definitely feel a cold shoulder from a section of the comedy scene.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't like. How do you manage that? Because I actually don't even really know how you manage.
that. I don't know. I think a stronger mentally person just doesn't give a shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah. It's weird. It's like I walk this weird rope of I don't want to give a shit, but I give a shit so much.
Right. Oh, well, I mean, trying so hard not to give a shit is giving a shit in a weird way.
Yeah.
It's almost like something that you need to have very naturally.
Yeah.
That like not give a shit attitude, which I don't understand. Like I don't certainly like I think way too much about what people think of me too. And it's a problem. But I think with time you can start to not care. Because really, like, how is it serving you to care?
Yeah, I mean,
is the big question about it, right?
Yeah, I mean that's interesting, right? You don't know why.
Yeah, like that's. I was just telling a friend this day. I'm like asking myself that question: how is this serving you? With any emotion I feel has been really helping me.
Okay.
Like, okay, I'm really angry at this person. They did this thing that really pissed me off. I'm really, really angry. Anger. Okay, what's this doing to propel me forward in life? Oh, nothing. It's just wasting my time. Maybe I should stop feeling that way.
Yeah.
And mind you, I think feelings are hard to just turn off.
Yeah.
But we gotta stop sitting in our own negativity. It's not getting us anywhere. You know?
Yeah, I just wish my big thing is like I like being able to speak freely.
Yeah.
I like, and I'm not saying I'm right. I might be wrong about everything I fucking said here tonight. Who knows?
Right. Yeah. No, none of us think we're
But
right.
I don't want to feel guilty about saying those things right or wrong.
You're just saying
like
them.
the idea. I think in a perfect world, we all need to be able to speak freely, no matter how horribly or wrong we can be at times.
Right.
I like to think that I'm the kind of guy that if I'm wrong and you point out where I'm wrong and I genuinely believe I was wrong, that I go, okay, yeah, I was wrong.
Right.
Yeah, and I shouldn't have done that. And I've done that before in the past. I know I'm not going to mention names, but I know I said something about a comic once that was on our podcast and that I got a message from that comic. And,
right.
And then I went, you know what, you're right. You're absolutely right. What I said was fucking shitty and wrong, and I apologize. And I hope you accept that apology.
Right.
I'm not above doing that, but I want the ability to make the mistake as opposed to the fear that I'm not allowed to make that mistake. You know what I mean?
That's very
we
fair.
keep forgetting that we just people make mistakes. We make mistakes all the time, and we're so fucking scared to make mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, oof, that hits hard. I actually had a dream last night that involved me apologizing to somebody for something I said. And I woke up going, oh, I'm kind of sad.
I have weird mental fantasies where I apologize for shit that ain't even fucking happened. And this is awake. This is not sleep. This is just like, I worry that so-and-so is mad at me over something that never fucking happened. like, you know.
It's crazy. It really, really, really is. It's exhausting.
It is. That's a
it's
good
exhausting.
Word. It's exhausting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe I've thought about apologizing to people recently, and I'm like, I just don't know. Like, because you got to strike the balance between standing by what you said because it was the truth.
Yeah.
And then maybe
sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes the truth is hard to swallow, you know?
But that's the thing. Like, I've said this a number of times on here. Conversations like this, and like you and I have had off-mic conversations too about stuff. And it's like having more critical conversations with people has ruined other friendships for me.
Yeah.
Because I will go about it critically and then I go, oh yeah, this isn't the friend to do this with.
Well, you're in a weird world too where comics are super obsessed with being critical and being open, and you got one foot in that pond and then one foot in another pond, and it's like
that's exactly what it is. It's hard.
For me, I mean, for better or worse, I surrounded myself by people that are all in the same pond.
Right. So that's all you've known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really have a lot of friends outside of comedy.
And
like, I've lost those friends.
Right now, I feel like I don't either.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
But it's hard. It's hard sometimes. But I don't know. It's just
But the harsh thing is like, is it hard or was it always this, or is this more right for you? That's kind of what I'm coming to terms with. Where
Well,
I'm
sometimes
like,
what's right is hard.
what's right is hard. And maybe that's kind of more where I'm at, where I'm like, this is the reality of the situation.
You know what I want to know? It's not, to me, it's not even about like comedy and people. I just want to know, like, I just want some guidance from people. Like, I want to know how my dad would deal with this shit. I want to know how my mom would deal with this shit. Like when I had a falling out with a friend of mine that I was friends with for many years, I remember asking my mother, I was like, because my mother stopped talking to her sister years ago. And this, I mean, you talk about friendship, but that's blood. You know what I mean?
Like, that's deep.
And I remember asking her, I was like, why, what was the final breaking point that you just couldn't do it anymore? And her telling me like what it was, like not the instance, but like just knowing that like at some point you just can't have that person in your life.
Oh,
and that was more of a valuable lesson to me than a lot of things in my life.
Yeah.
Because that's what I want to know. I just want to know that like right or wrong, the decisions that I'm making, like, you know, it's not the be all end all. It's not the destroyer of your world to make a mistake. It's not the destroyer of your world to have an opinion and be vocal about it and like worry about like what everybody would think about your opinion.
Right.
Yeah. I don't feel like anything that comes out of my mouth, even with ill intent, comes out misinformed.
No, I don't think so.
Even the harsh things that are meant to come out mean come out informed.
Yeah, and you're also someone who admits to not knowing things.
Yeah. What the fuck do I know?
So when you say like that, it's
what the fuck are you listening to me about comedy for? I'm not Travis Lindsay. I'm not fucking working all week.
But this is the thing, though.
You know,
confidence is such a common thread through all my intoxicated interviews with comedians, whether they're just starting out or whether they're as far in as you. Mm-hmm. And we all need to give ourselves a little tiny bit more credit, just a tiny bit more.
Yeah.
In like what we said earlier about like the things you didn't do versus the things you have. Like focus on the things you have done. Focus on the things you have achieved.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone in this scene, mostly everyone.
Yeah.
Is probably
the best part. You know, the best part about having you around is like that you're like, like when I say this thing again for the 80, you're like, yep. And it kind of validates how I feel sometimes because I'm wondering if I'm looking at it too much from a comedy perspective as a comedian.
No.
And then you go, yep, I feel the same way about so-and-so's set. Yep. And I'm like, you're like if this is like a test, you're our controlled group. You know what I mean? Like,
I think so too.
Whereas I'm the comedian, so my test results are a little tainted. You're the control group.
I'm a little more unbiased.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. Like I have comic. I love that we're getting so inside. Like this is so great.
I hope you don't mind. We're going super long, but
I love this. What I might do is I might just cut the sex toy stuff and put that as like its own YouTube video, and then
the sex toy stuff was funny though.
That was really funny.
It was funny.
I like going long.
Or you can do like 2 episodes, cut it out, or put someone on your Patreon. You do what you want.
We will figure it. But I like where this is going.
If I'm talking too much, tell me to shut the fuck up.
I like this conversation because
and I'm gonna borrow some vodka from you soon because I want to take this home.
Oh,
so I can have a couple drinks before I go to bed.
You can take whatever we want. Matt Baker, who's been on the show, good guy, really good comedian, I think. He's constantly telling me to do stand-up. And I've realized it's just not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Like I've realized that my relationship with comedy is not to do it.
Here's my thing. Here's my thing. I'm being 100% honest with you. This is why I don't want you to do stand-up.
Yeah.
And I'm being 100% honest with you, is stand-up, I always say stand-up is not therapy.
Yeah.
But stand-up can be very therapeutic. Does that make sense?
Yes. It shouldn't be the soul.
I think you have some things in your life. It's not that I don't want you to never do stand-up. I think you have some things in your life that you need to get your head around first.
Before doing it.
And I'm just telling you.
I love the carefulness of what
No.
you're
I'm just trying to think of the words I want to say. Like I don't think stand-up is going to help you with those problems.
Yeah, and I agree.
And I'm not saying that that's why you would do it. I'm just saying that, like, I would rather see you try stand-up from an honest desire to do it.
Yeah.
As opposed to things are kind of shitty right now. Hopefully this will make things less shittier.
No, 100%.
And that's my only objection. My only objection for you doing stand-up.
But I've come to that conclusion on my own. Is the crazy thing about it. And that's not to say that I don't think I could if I really tried. It's to say right now, the ideas I have and how I want to work in the comedy scene is to help enrich it, help it grow, help giving comedians a chance to come here and do this, to get themselves out there. I want to be the behind the scenes person. I don't think I have a place on the stage.
I think you could be a very good promoter, because I think you have the personality needed to contact places and be a front person.
Yeah.
But you have also been so ingrained in the scene that you understand the struggles comics go through.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't fuck anybody, and you wouldn't,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to say don't ever do stand-up. What I'm trying to say is, like, I don't think you're in the right place to start now.
No. And you've said it before, and off mic, so I'll say it for you on here. But you've said you've been in this a little too long for it to be bad.
Well, that's the other thing too. It's like we're such good friends. If you're gonna go out and eat a dick, like, I'm gonna have to tell you went out and ate a dick, and that makes it awkward.
Well, that's just it. I don't, and I also just think that there's a lot of things I want to do still that I'm focused on, and I see it in the same way as, honestly, like, dating and shit. It's the furthest thing from my mind right now. I got so much.
What do they say about dating?
So much going on.
You don't date until you like. Don't expect dating to fix the problems in your life.
No.
So don't expect stand-up to fix the problems.
And
I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm just saying, like.
No, I genuinely, I don't think it will, and I don't feel comfortable yet. I don't think what I have is that good.
I don't want to see you do what I see a lot of young women do when they get into stand-up comedy. And this is going to be a little controversial because I said young women.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you
sex material.
No, it's not even sex material. You do as much sex material as you want. Yeah. It's like, I don't want to see you use this as a tool to talk about your frustrations with dating as stories on a weekly basis.
Yeah, no.
I don't want to see another fucking female comic get on stage. And you know what? Fuck it. I let's backtrack. I don't want to see another female or male comic get on stage and tell me what about they did this week. Yeah. Unless you're Travis Lindsay.
Yeah.
Or you're unless you're an established comic who knows how to take that story and twist it into something that's funny.
Absolutely.
This is not live journal live where you fucking read your thoughts. This is not therapy.
No.
This is not at the core, these are jokes.
These are jokes.
At the core, these are jokes.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if you wrote 8 paragraphs in your journal and you think that's a set. It's not.
It's not, yeah. And I think too, being the person who's like, okay, I'm not going to use stand-up as therapy. I'm going to go get real therapy, figure myself out, get that self-awareness, and make it smarter so that when I do it, it comes from a smarter place.
Like, I always wonder what's newer comics. Like, obviously, I didn't know what setup punchline was when I started stand-up comedy.
Right.
But me and Andrew Evans were talking about this the other day. When I started writing comedy, when I decided I wanted to try it, I started writing comedy. I instinctively knew what that was, even though without being told. Because I watched a lot of comedy. I mean,
consumed a lot of
when
it.
I'm talking, people don't understand. Like, and I think I've said this here on this podcast, like, the reason why I fucking love comedy so much and why it means so much to me is because my entire life I was wondering what was that thing that meant so much to me. And when I finally fucking found it, it fit like a glove. Like, it just clicked. And everything started making sense.
Yeah.
Things started like lining up in my brain that I never even thought of. And I
Yeah.
started thinking back to the first stand-up comedy I ever listened to. I did a radio show in university where I played stand-up comedy albums.
Right.
And when I did that, I didn't play them because I wanted to be a stand-up. I just liked stand-up.
You just loved it.
So
Yeah.
it was, once I started doing it, I went, that's why you did it. That's why you watched this bit over and over again. That's why you watch this special over and over again. That's why you had that radio show. That's why you did all these things, because you fucking love it.
Yeah.
That's why it did. And I just want to see that passion in other people.
Right. And the effort.
And when you tell me that you, like, and sometimes I miss it, and sometimes I have to, like, honestly, like, fucking when you had Adrian Gabriel on, like, I learned so much about that woman.
Yeah.
That made me go, like, yeah, there is shit there that I didn't see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, and
Well,
she was
that's-
talking about her early comedy stuff that she liked, and I was like, oh my God, that's kind of similar. She brought up
Right.
Eddie Murphy. I mean, I talked extensively about how Eddie Murphy and Andrew Dice Clay were the two comics that made me fall in love with comedy.
Right.
They're not my two favorite comics of all time,
Right.
but they're the two that made me fall in love with comedy.
Right.
And I just want to see that in other people. I just want to see that passion, that fucking desire, that knowledge of the history, that watching. And it's not, well, it makes me feel good, so I go and do it.
Yeah.
I know.
I know. Yeah, and then there's
A
the people.
volunteer at an old folks home. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know what to tell you. Like, I just,
Yeah. Be an Instagram influencer.
yeah.
Do that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just, you know, I
But would you say, because it's interesting how some people, it's interesting the different trajectories that comics can take, because sometimes people are like, I just thought I'd try it, and then I totally fell in love with it, and then
that's fine too.
and then
I
there's
have no problem
another.
with someone who fucking is like, you know what? I'll honestly admit, I don't have a huge history of love with it, but then I started doing it, and then I went back in time and I watched this, and I
Exactly.
watched this, and I did this, and did that. I'm like,
It still happened. It
because
didn't
you're-
happen in the
yeah,
same
it just-
way.
It happened in a different way. Not all of us live the same life.
I just don't think it's, if you're someone who wants to do it consistently, wants to get better at it, wants to eventually start getting paid for it, how could you not do your research? I hate to say research, that's probably not the right term,
Yeah.
but learn more about it. Watch more specials. Open yourself up to other types of comedy.
Yeah.
Like, because the more you do that, the more it's going to craft that skill, and you will get better.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
That's just how I feel, right?
That, and like you said, the actual passion for comedy, not the passion for attention.
I guess my problem is I relate comedy way too much back to wrestling.
Yeah,
Like, I've been a wrestling fan my entire life, and I've read a lot of like stuff about wrestling. I've listened to interviews with wrestlers, and one thing a wrestler hates is a guy that walks into the locker room and they know that guy just wants the fame.
right.
They don't want to put in the hard work. They don't want to pay the dues.
And you know what that reminds me of? I'm going to call it out. I don't care. We're at the end of this long episode. If you're listening to this,
You earned it.
You earned it.
I'm not going to co-sign
If you're a
this.
fucking person who has done a couple mics and you put comedian on your
You're-
Instagram
you're a
or your
piece of shit.
Tinder,
You're a piece of shit.
I don't
Stolen valor, you're a piece of shit.
don't do that.
No.
That is
First off, I'll
ridiculous.
add to this. If you aren't a touring headliner, delete your fucking comedy account. I don't give a fuck about your comedy account. I'm not going to follow it. I'm not going to like it unless you're a fucking touring headliner. There's no fucking reason why you should have a fucking Facebook page or a separate Instagram account. It's bullshit. You're an open fucking micer. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Okay, I got too mean there. I didn't mean
This is like truth bombs.
That's what
happening
it is.
here.
It's like,
But-
but that's humility. You gotta have humility. You gotta be humble.
Oh, the
Gotta be
humility
humble, you
is yeah, and I mean that's yeah.
How about we do 245? You cut it there, and then still.
Absolutely, that's.
I'm a weird guy when it comes to numbers. I like to
I
see
know
an
you
even
are.
number.
Yeah, I always hear you on Boys Club being like, okay, this is where we're at. We're gonna go to here. I'm like, I like that because it makes it easier to cut it up.
Well, it's something in my brain. I just like seeing an even number
Yeah,
or an odd number, but a stop at a certain point. Yeah.
I do too. Actually, I like hitting like round numbers of episodes. Like when I hit 140, I was like, oh, I'm 10 away from.
I've moved your
150.
table too much.
That's
I think.
okay. Scott McLean was moving it all around last
Yeah.
night. It went everywhere here.
Yeah. And again, You know what? That whole rant I just did about don't listen to me. Keep your page.
No, I
and
wouldn't
fuck
say that.
me.
No,
Who gives a shit?
that's your opinion.
It's my opinion. It does.
Here's the thing. I've said this, like, you've been around the scene a long time. You've been doing comedy a long time. You got to give yourself a little more credit. You know some things.
But I just
You
feel
know
like
some
I
things.
come off as just a crotchety fucking angry man.
Own that you own that you know it.
Yeah.
Own that you own it. Own that you know it. That's a hard.
And don't get me
one to
wrong,
say.
these are not things that I came up with. These are lessons I learned by watching, by being around, by being directly told. These are things I've learned. And I say don't have a this or don't do this or do this and don't do that. I ain't just pulling it out thin air. These are things I've learned and I'm trying to pass on.
And people
to
would
you.
agree with you.
Yeah.
Other comics at your level would
Yeah.
agree with you.
Hopefully. Yeah.
I think so. Like, but this is the divide, right? There's a clear divide between when you're new versus when, and to those new people, they're the new freshmen in high school who are scared to talk to the senior.
Mm-hmm.
They are like from their perspective, they're terrified.
Yeah. But I try to do my best to be as open as possible. Like you want to have a conversation with me about,
Right.
where you're at. I want to be as open as possible. But you have to understand in that openness, there's going to be some
things
hard
you
truths.
that you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what you would get if you were to have an employee review. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when you work somewhere and you have a review. It's the same thing.
Do you want to be spoon-fed something or do you want a harsh, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the only way you get better is harsh reality. Spoon-feeding something, sugar-coating something, it's not a way to get better.
Not a way
it's
to
just
do it.
not how you get better. And trust me, if anyone hears me say this shit and they're like, "Oh, why is he gonna say this shit?" I've had moments where it's been painful lessons to me. I've had those too,
Yeah.
but I've understood that I needed that lesson. It just hurt.
Yeah.
But what's Buckley's? Tastes awful, but it works.
But it works. That episode that I listened to today with the psychologist on Dak Shepard, they loved him so much and they were very complimentary to him. And he was like, okay, so we're going to end the episode. You need to tell me one piece of critical feedback that's not positive. And they're like, we can't think of anything. We'll have to put it in later. And
Or is that just shield because they don't want to?
well, that was it. And he was like, that's not fair. You need to give me that. It's not like you need to give me that one piece.
Your wife has a better career. I love the two of them. Why am I shitting on them?
No, it was the guest. So the guest was the one asking for feedback.
Oh, it was the guest.
Yes, the
Oh, it wasn't
psychologist
Dax.
was
Okay.
because they were very much so like, thank you so
That
much
would
for
make
coming
more
on.
sense from a psychologist thing. Okay, that totally makes more sense. Yeah.
And then like they had to think of something that was a little more critical and negative to give them.
okay.
This is the thing though. Like I'm like this with friends. Like I love talking about what's wrong with us. I love talking about that. I think that's a great thing to talk about. Not everyone wants to actually face that though.
And you know what? Like I ultimately just want comics to be as good as they can be.
Yeah.
I want the shows to be as good as they can be. I want the scene to be as good as it can be.
that's where all of this is
I've-
coming from.
It
Like,
all comes from a place of love. Doesn't come from a place of hate. I say a lot, I hate this comic and I hate this comic. Hate's just a word. It's not a feeling to me. It's just a
Yeah.
word of frustration. I don't think there's one person in this comedy scene I hate, but I doubt there's not, you know what I mean? Like I don't
Right.
think there's a lot of people that I just flat out fucking hate.
right.
And even if your style of comedy when you're newer is not my style of comedy, I am able to go, that person is doing good. There's a specific
Something
comic,
working there,
There's
yeah.
a specific comic, I'm not going to mention my name, but I don't like their comedy. I don't like their style. Nothing they do makes me laugh. But I told one of their friends that I think they're doing great.
Yeah.
I think they're getting better, and I appreciate and can understand why the audience likes them.
There you go.
Because it has nothing to do with what I would never listen to it as a special or an album or even a 5 to 10 minute set. I would never listen to it.
Right.
It's not my thing.
Right.
But I can say, you know what? It's working. And
Yeah.
it works for this. And I wouldn't have thought it wouldn't work, but I was wrong.
And then that, in a way, is a really good compliment because that says you proved me wrong a bit.
Yeah.
You proved me wrong to the point where I had to say, yeah, like
I
you're
have
right.
absolutely no problem being wrong. My problem is I want people to give me the opportunity to be wrong. Like you can't have an opinion anymore. You have an opinion about anything, and then all of a sudden people are like, "You shouldn't say that. You shouldn't." It's like, prove me wrong. Just prove me wrong. And
I know.
If you prove me wrong, I'll tell you were right.
And I've said things sometimes where I'm like, I kind of feel like prefacing it by going, "Am I wrong?" Mm-hmm. Like, you didn't like what I just said then, mm-hmm. but am I incorrect in what I'm saying?
Yeah. So that's where I'm coming from, basically.
I mean, that's. Whew. We're all just trying to make the world a better place.
All right, we should wrap this up. We're almost.
We should wrap this up.
But why am I taking control of your podcast?
But seriously, send us stuff for the SPCA.
No, we're gonna do that. That's a great idea.
Pods for pause. Pods.
The big cat supports the little cat.
For pause. Oh my god! I want to make the animals happy this Christmas. They don't deserve us humans. Andrew, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having
buddy.
me. This was a lot of fun.
This went into.
I don't know if you're gonna post the whole thing or what you're gonna do, but we'll figure out.
This is the second episode I've recorded recently that I don't know what I'm gonna do with.
You'll figure it out. You got 3 hours worth of content to fucking figure out.
Whether it's one big episode or 2, or maybe it's probably going to be a 2-parter. But that's great. I love this. This was great.
Yeah,
and I think that this is useful stuff that people can hear on their own terms and take it in.
Yeah.
So thanks so much, buddy, for coming
Thank you
over.
for having me.
And
I'm going to steal some of your vodka.
Oh my God. Yes. Merry Christmas too. Happy New Year.
Bah humbug.
And you got to ring the bell.
Oh.
I know we have to do our promo clip where we tell people what they're in for.
All right, let's do it. Hit stop and do it. We're going to hit. Oh, we hit it. Boom.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God. You're, wow, a stickler.
Let's just hit stop. It's not getting better.